Have you ever felt like you're talking, but nobody's really listening? Maybe it's your boss, your friends, or even your own family, like your words are just bouncing off a wall. Here's the hard truth. There's a critical mistake most of us make in communication, and 90% of people never notice it. That's why they struggle to influence, persuade, or even earn simple respect in everyday conversations. The problem? You're focusing on what you want, instead of what they want. But there's a single shift that the world's most powerful leaders, CEOs, and top negotiators use. One that can instantly make you more persuasive, more respected, and more influential. No, this isn't about trickery or manipulation. It's not about strong-arming people into paying attention. It's about flipping one simple switch in how you speak so they actually want to hear you out. Instead of trying to convince, make them want it for themselves. Dale Carnegie, one of the greatest communicators in history, called this principle the one rule that gives you the whole world. And over the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly how to use it so you can get people to say yes without pushing, begging, or arguing. Let's talk about something we've all experienced. Trying to get someone else to do something they don't seem interested in doing. Maybe it's your boss who refuses to let you take on that new project. Or your friend who never wants to pick the restaurant for dinner and ends up complaining once you get there. Or how about the classic struggle of persuading a little kid to eat their vegetables or head to bed on time? I bet you can recall a scenario, maybe as recent as this morning, where you tried to influence someone, but it felt like you were talking to a wall. You might have said, "I really need this done for my sake," or, "Hey, do it because it's important to me," or, "It's the right thing to do." How did that turn out? Probably not so well. Why do some people seem to have a natural ability to connect, while the rest of us find ourselves stuck in arguments, heated debates, or just plain frustration? Is it something you're born with, like a magical charisma gene? Or is there a technique, a mindset, that we can all learn? Here's the raw truth. Most of us go about persuasion from the wrong angle. We think, "I want this, so I'll just tell them that's what we need to do." But the real question is, do they care about what you want? Usually, no. They care about what they want, right? Dale Carnegie, in this powerful chapter we're focusing on, drives home the point that if you want to win friends, influence people, and basically become unstoppable in your relationships, you have to start with their perspective. In short, talk about what they want and show them how to get it. But that might sound too simple or abstract. How does that actually look in real life? By the end of today's video, you'll have that answer, and you'll have 3 to 5 easy, actionable hacks to put this principle to work immediately. No more confusion, no more banging your head against the wall. We're going to solve these everyday friction points. Stay with me, because next, we're diving deep into the story behind this principle, complete with personal anecdotes. From fishing in Maine with worms instead of strawberries, to negotiating hotel ballroom rents, to persuading kids that bedtime is actually their own idea. Trust me, you'll see exactly how it all connects to your life today, whether you're a Gen Z college student or a seasoned entrepreneur launching your next startup. The Fishing Lesson and Lloyd George. Let's start with a story that might sound silly at first, but is the perfect illustration of Carnegie's principle. He loved strawberries and cream. However, when he went fishing in Maine, he'd never think of using strawberries and cream as bait, because fish don't like that. Fish like worms. Such a simple analogy, but think about it. If you want to hook fish, you have to use what they want, not what you personally find delicious. Dale Carnegie uses this concept to say, if you want to hook a person's interest, lead with what appeals to them. He then cites Lloyd George, Prime Minister of Great Britain during World War I, who famously stayed in power long after other leaders had faded. Lloyd George's secret? Bait the hook to suit the fish. Or in simpler terms, talk about what the other person wants. Show them how to get it. Ask yourself, have you ever gone to someone, maybe your boss, your parents, your significant other, and led with, "Hey, I want you to do X, Y, Z because I need it done"? That's basically giving fish strawberries and cream. Sure, you might think it's tasty, but the fish couldn't care less. The central principle: arouse an eager want. A big chunk of this chapter revolves around this gem of a quote from Harry A. Overstreet. Action springs out of what we fundamentally desire, and the best piece of advice which can be given to would-be persuaders is, first, arouse in the other person an eager want. Let that sink in. Arouse in the other person an eager want. Not a mild want, not a casual curiosity, but something they're eager to pursue. This is the kind of want that drives you to stand in line all night for the latest phone release. The kind of want that has you binge-watching an entire show in one weekend. Imagine if you could channel that energy when asking for help or presenting an idea. Instead of, "This would be awesome for me," it becomes, "Hey, this might help you solve that tricky problem you've mentioned." Or, "Picture how amazing you'll feel once you accomplish that goal." This principle is timeless, which is why Carnegie's book remains relevant even in our social media-saturated hustle and bustle era. Whether you're influencing your TikTok followers or leading a corporate meeting on Monday morning, the strategy is the same. Figure out what they want. Andrew Carnegie's nephews, the power of the postscript. Andrew Carnegie, yes, the steel magnate who gave away $365 million, also practiced this principle. He used it to get his nephews at Yale to write home. The nephews ignored letters from their own mother. But when Carnegie wrote them a casual note mentioning in the postscript he was including a little cash, they wrote back instantly. The kicker? He didn't even enclose the money. He hinted at something they wanted, and that was enough. Now, does that sound manipulative? In the example, it's playful, but the underlying principle is, talk about what's relevant to the other person. They wanted money. If they thought they were about to receive it, they paid attention. Isn't that how so many sales funnels work today? You see an email subject line that says, "Your free gift is inside," and you open it faster than you'd open something titled, "Company Update Number 7. Because who doesn't want something for free? If an email or message starts off talking about what I want, it grabs me. Kindergarten adventures, Tim and finger painting. Let's fast forward from Carnegie's grown nephews to a 5-year-old named Tim who was about to start kindergarten and was furious about it, lying on the living room floor, kicking and screaming. Most parents would scold, maybe threaten a timeout or say, "You have no choice, you're going." But Tim's father realized that approach would only fuel resentment. Instead, he asked himself, if I were Tim, why would I be excited about kindergarten? So they started doing fun, creative activities, like finger painting, right in the kitchen. Tim peeked around the corner, intrigued. He wanted in on the fun. But they said, "You have to go to kindergarten to learn how to finger paint properly." Suddenly, he was the one wanting to go. In less than 24 hours, Tim was up early, ready to dash out the door so he wouldn't be late. That's the magic of arousing an eager want. Notice how the father didn't say, "Do it because I said so." Instead, he made Tim see how going to kindergarten fulfilled Tim's own desire for creativity and fun. Business negotiation. The hotel ballroom. Next, Carnegie shares a more grown-up scenario. He rented a hotel ballroom for lectures, 20 nights each season. Suddenly, the hotel manager nearly tripled the rent. His initial reaction might have been to argue, "Are you kidding? This is absurd, I won't pay it." That would have started a battle of egos, and we know how those usually end. But instead, Carnegie paused and thought, "Let me speak in terms of the manager's interests." So he sat down with the manager, drew a line down a sheet of paper. Advantages on one side and disadvantages on the other, for the manager, not for himself. Advantages to raising the rent. The hotel could rent the ballroom to more profitable events, maybe big conventions or fancy dances. Disadvantages. They'd lose the guaranteed income from Carnegie's lectures if he had to move his event elsewhere. And they'd lose the free publicity that came from hundreds of educated attendees walking into the hotel. The result? The manager backed down from a 300% increase to a 50% increase. Carnegie accomplished that without making it about his personal complaints. He simply appealed to the manager's own wants, what was in his best interest. Henry Ford's secret of success. There's a classic quote from Henry Ford. If there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from that person's angle as well as from your own. That's it, folks. It's so obvious, yet 90% of the world ignores it 90% of the time. Instead of putting ourselves in the other person's shoes, we think, how can I make them see my perspective? But the ironically easy answer is, start by considering theirs. This is a direct tie-in to the bigger message of this chapter. If you want to stand out, if you want to be unstoppable in your relationships, personal or professional, be the rare person who invests real effort in understanding how the other person thinks and feels. That's a skill that makes you infinitely valuable in a world where most people only talk about themselves. Bad letter. Example, the agency leadership disaster. Carnegie shares a cringe-inducing example of a letter from a radio department manager. The entire letter was basically, hey, we're really important, we're at the top of our field, we need you to do X, Y, Z for us right away. No mention of how it benefited the person receiving the letter. No attempt to address their worries or interests. The result? The letter felt arrogant and was tossed aside. It's easy to look at that example and think, oh, that's so obviously a bad letter. Yet how often do we do the same in our emails, texts, or even face-to-face conversations? We lead with, our company is so amazing, or I have this big plan that I think is cool. Instead of focusing on the other side, let me share how you can win in this scenario. Good letter. Example, flipping the perspective. In contrast, there's a rewritten letter that starts off praising the recipient's long-term business relationship, acknowledging them as a valued customer, and then politely addressing a shared concern. The letter explains how changing a particular delivery schedule helps them get better, faster service. In short, it leads with the other person's point of view. We want to serve you better, but here's how you can help us make that happen so you benefit even more. This transforms a potential confrontation into a cooperative arrangement. Barbara Anderson's job hunt. Then there's the story of Barbara Anderson, who wanted to relocate to Phoenix because of her son's health. She wrote to 12 banks, but rather than saying, I need a job, she focused on how her 10 years of bank experience could be valuable to their growth and their profit. You know what happened? 11 of those 12 banks called her for interviews. That's incredible. She recognized that they wanted an experienced banker who could help them succeed, and that's how she framed her pitch. So if you're job hunting right now, or if you're pitching clients for your freelance gig, ask yourself, are you focusing on their goals or just listing your credentials and wants? Modern sales and entrepreneurs. Let's bring this forward to 2025 and beyond. Thousands of salespeople are out there, hustling, either on social media or on the ground, trying to make ends meet. Many are struggling because they approach potential customers with, let me show you my product, or I really need to hit my sales quota. But ask yourself, if you were the prospect, would you care that someone else needs to meet a quota? Probably not. You want your own problem solved. If that product can solve your problem, you're in. If not, you're out. That's precisely what Carnegie preaches over and over in this chapter. People are interested in solving their own problems, not yours. When you show them how your idea, product, or perspective meets their desires, they're practically sold because they want it. 2 insurance agents, Carl versus John. Another great example, 2 insurance agents, Carl and John, selling the exact same policy. Carl casually mentions it in passing. We've got a new policy. Might be something you'd want. I'll get back to you. No excitement. John, on the other hand, runs up excitedly. Guys, you won't believe this brand new policy. It's fantastic. I'm going to get the details tomorrow, but in the meantime, let's get your applications in so we can finalize it. Which agent do you think the clients flock to? Obviously John, because he ignited an eager want. He made them feel, wow, this must be big, and I want to be first in line. We all respond to passion, to a sense of urgency, particularly when that passion is tied to our benefit. Carl's approach was tepid. It didn't resonate with what the clients wanted. Kids, calves, and the need for pride. We shift gears to more examples involving children, because kids demonstrate these principles so transparently. Ralph Waldo Emerson's calf problem. He and his son tried to force a calf into the barn by pushing and pulling. Didn't work at all, until the housemaid simply let the calf suck on her finger and led it inside. The calf wanted comfort and something to suck on, not to be shoved around. Persuading kids to eat spinach. One father realized his child wanted to be strong enough to beat a neighborhood bully. So he said, if you eat your spinach, you'll get bigger and stronger. Then you can stand up for yourself. Suddenly the kid's face lit up. The father aroused an eager want to overcome that bully. Bedwetting fiasco. Another father turned nighttime accidents into a child's personal mission by giving him ownership. Pajamas like dad, his very own bed. The boy felt proud, grown up. He didn't want to wet the bed anymore because it was his bed. We can roll our eyes at these kid stories, but they're powerful metaphors for adult life too. If your co-worker wants more autonomy, make a request in a way that acknowledges that autonomy. If your friend wants to feel important, tie your suggestion to that feeling of importance. The dominant necessity, self-expression. William Winter once said, self-expression is the dominant necessity of human nature. In simpler terms, we all want to feel important, to express ourselves, to have some control over our lives. If you have a brilliant idea at work, how can you present it so others feel it's their idea, so they can express their creativity and intelligence within that idea? Carnegie suggests we let people cook and stir the idea themselves. Instead of commanding, we can say, I have a challenge. I'd love your input on making it work. When they contribute, they feel a sense of ownership, and they become your biggest supporters. The rare individual who serves others. Carnegie points out that most people are grabbing and self-seeking. So, if you are the rare individual who actually invests time in thinking, what does this person need? You become incredibly influential. He quotes Owen D. Young. People who can put themselves in the place of other people, who can understand the workings of their minds, need never worry about what the future has in store for them. It's an eternal truth. When you're the person who truly listens, who truly aligns your ideas with others' desires, you stand out like a shining star in a world of me-centered attitudes. Why this chapter still matters in our hyper-connected world. All right, let's put all these stories together. The underlying theme is that people only care about their wants. In a world that's more connected than ever, social media, 24/7 messaging, our challenge is that it's easier to talk at someone, but no simpler to connect. We can blast messages about our own needs, but we tune out every day. The real magic happens when you talk about what your audience, your friend, your colleague, or your spouse truly desires. On YouTube, that might mean focusing your content on the viewer's biggest pain points or curiosities. In a corporate setting, it might mean showing your boss how your idea can help the company's goals. In your personal life, it might mean telling your friend or child how an action aligns with their core values or needs, rather than commanding them. Are you starting to see how this principle transforms casual interactions into genuine, actionable steps and psychological hacks? Now, let's get super practical. You might be thinking, I get the theory, but how do I apply this tomorrow morning? How do I weave it into my everyday interactions? Here are 5 powerful, actionable hacks drawn from the chapter's insights. Practice, you-focused language. What it is. Whenever you make a request, reframe it so it's about them, not you. Instead of saying, "I need you to finish this project by Friday," say, "Wouldn't it be great if you could wrap this up by Friday so you can show the team your achievement sooner?" It could really highlight your strengths when they see how efficiently you handle it. Why it works. You connect your request to their sense of pride or accomplishment. You're subtly saying, "This is about your success," which is far more compelling than, "I need this, do it for me." Ask, what would make them excited? What it is. Before you propose any idea, be it to a friend, client, co-worker, or family member, take 30 seconds to literally ask, "If I were them, what would get me excited or motivated?" Jot down any quick thoughts. Why it works. This simple mental pause shifts your perspective. Instead of barreling forward with your own agenda, you start from their vantage point, which instantly makes your pitch more attractive. Provide a vision of the outcome. What it is. People are moved by clear mental pictures. So if you want them to do something, like accept your job proposal, join your volunteer drive, or help you with errands, create a vivid image of the benefits. For example, imagine how proud you'll feel once we've raised enough funds. You'll see all those grateful faces, and you'll know it happened because you made that first phone call. Why it works. Our brains respond strongly to imagery. When you help someone see or feel the results they crave, you spark an emotional desire to achieve it. Let them contribute ideas. What it is. If you're presenting a project or plan, avoid giving a fully formed solution. Instead, outline the problem and share a partial solution. Then ask, how would you approach the rest of this? Let them shape the direction. Why it works. It gives the other person a sense of ownership. They become co-creators, emotionally invested. They'll champion the project because it's partly theirs. Celebrate small wins and offer. Genuine praise, what it is. The moment you see someone doing something even slightly close to what you'd hoped, praise them wholeheartedly. For instance, if you want your teenager to be more responsible about chores, the first time they take out the trash without you nagging, stop everything and say, "Wow, that was awesome. You totally handled that on your own." Why it works. By tying a positive emotional response to the action, you reinforce the behavior you want to see more of. According to numerous psychology studies, we repeat behaviors that bring pleasant consequences. These 5 strategies might sound basic at first, but they're deeply aligned with what Dale Carnegie emphasizes. Find what the other person wants, show them how they can get it, and do it in a spirit of genuine care. Not because you're manipulating them, but because you want everyone to win. We've come full circle. We started with the question, why do some people naturally influence while others struggle? The answer is in this one chapter's core principle: arouse in the other person an eager want. Think back to all the stories we explored. Fishing in Maine with worms, using bait the fish want, not what you want. A father getting a child excited for kindergarten by focusing on his sense of fun and curiosity. Persuading a hotel manager by listing his potential losses and gains, not complaining about your own situation. Barbara Anderson landing interviews by showing banks how they could benefit from her experience. One after another, these stories drive home the fact that when you genuinely shift your viewpoint to the other person's vantage point and articulate what they get out of it, you become unstoppable. People will not just follow your suggestions, they'll be thankful for them. If you're tired of feeling ignored, if you're exhausted from arguments that go nowhere, this principle is your lifeline. The moment you start implementing it, whether you're texting a friend, emailing a boss, or launching a new YouTube channel, the difference will be night and day. You'll see people lean in and say, "Wait, tell me more," because you're speaking their language. Now, I challenge you. Pick one conversation you're going to have in the next 24 hours. Maybe it's a family discussion, a business meeting, or a chat with a friend. Before you say a single word, apply these steps. Ask yourself, what does this person want, and how can my proposal help them get it? Then watch how they respond. Drop a comment below describing the shift you notice. It can be huge or even just a small improvement. But watch how the energy changes when the other person realizes you're thinking of them. And that's the real magic. When you stop wrestling over my wants versus your wants and start creating a shared, aligned vision, the entire dynamic changes. You become more than persuasive. You become a bridge builder, cultivating deeper relationships and a genuine sense of goodwill. If this message resonated with you, drop a comment below sharing your biggest aha moment, or even a story of how you've seen this principle at work in your own life. Your insights could spark new ideas for everyone watching, so don't hesitate to join the conversation. And remember Dale Carnegie's timeless words: "He who can do this has the whole world with him. He who cannot walks a lonely way." Today we've broken down exactly how you can put this principle into action. The next step is yours. Thank you for taking this deep dive. Here's to building stronger, more meaningful connections, one conversation at a time. Stay curious, stay empathetic, and I'll see you in the next video.